We are here with Brooks Pierce, who is the CEO of Inspired Entertainment, and we are holding at sort of an ad lib Las Vegas University of Delaware Alumni Association meeting here together.
Absolutely. Proud of those blue hens.
Brooks, it's been a busy year at Inspired. Give us a little update on what you've accomplished and where you're going from here.
Sure. Well, it has been a busy year. Certainly, when we were at G2E last year, what we talked about was a new product innovation we had come out with, which was called Hybrid Dealer. For those that go up to the booth, you'll see kind of the next iteration of that, additional games, the roulette game. We have a side bet roulette game. So it's gone out. When we talked about it last year at G2E, it was really in its infancy, and we weren't live with the customer. Subsequently, have gone live with BetMGM in a couple markets, in New Jersey and Michigan. We'll be showing a Caesars product up in the booth, and obviously additional customers. We just made an announcement this past week on Lotto Quebec. So we're expanding it both from a geography standpoint and from a product standpoint. So that's probably the highlight of the show for us is Hybrid Dealer. We just announced earlier this week a license for our virtual sports with the NHL. So we're very excited now. We've got the NBA, we've got the NFL, we've got the NHL. So virtual sports, I'm sure we'll talk about further, but licensed aspects of virtual sports are great. And then we've got a new cabinet that we're showing, the Valiant cabinet, which is primarily for the route markets in North America. But lots of great stuff going on at Inspired. I'm sure we'll dive into it.
Right. One of the things that's happening in gaming is just technology is racing ahead so fast.
Right.
And you're a relatively small company. Your R&D budget is, other companies' R&D budgets are as big as your entire budget. And some of those
as big as our entire revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is what Inspired doing to stay ahead of the curve on innovation?
Yeah, I mean, we clearly have to punch above our weight when it comes to technology and product and innovation. I think Hybrid Dealer was one that we think was pretty disruptive to the live dealer market, and lots of advantages from a cost perspective, et cetera, et cetera. In terms of iGaming, our iGaming business is growing consistently, 30 to 40% per year. And that really is about, do you have game design talent? Can you put together roadmaps for your customers? Can you adhere to local market preferences? We've got a big market coming up in Brazil we can talk about. But yeah, we have to do more with less because we just don't have the firepower or the wherewithal of some of the big gaming companies.
There's a feeling among a lot of people in the gaming industry that the supplier technology game side of the industry is due for another round of consolidation.
Right.
Do you see Inspired being any part of merger and acquisition, and if so, on which side?
Well, we're certainly in the discussion. We've always been very active when it comes to M&A. Our history, Lauren and myself, obviously spent a long time at Scientific Games and did a number of acquisitions in that time frame. We're always looking to see if there's something that's really a good fit and is of a size that we could integrate easily. But sure, as the landscape changes with M&A, and this is a great environment at G2E, lots of conversations with lots of people about lots of different things. But our focus is really continuing to be, how do we grow the business? How do we grow the digital part of our business, which is now more than 60% of our business. It's got higher margins, less capital. The barriers to entry in some aspects of it are higher. So we focus mainly on running our business and trying to create as much value as possible, but always on the lookout for opportunities to make a strategic fit for us.
Would you also be a seller at some point? I mean, you've got some businesses that are in mature markets, maybe not growing as fast as some of these more techie products that you've discussed.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, look, as you would know, as the landscape has gone on, I'm sure not many people would have said, IGT would sell their gaming business or, that AGS might go private. There's just a lot of dynamics. So I don't think I wouldn't consider us active in terms of selling the business, but obviously if the right strategic partner came along and it made sense, we have to do what's right for the shareholders. And that's always been pretty much our singular focus.
One of the interesting things about the Inspired story is that you've got some unique products that have vast potential.
Right.
And you've already mentioned them, but maybe you can describe a little bit more what some of these are. Virtuals, which has been around a while, but is just now entering wide distribution in the United States. You've got the hybrid dealer, which you've mentioned. So just tell us a little bit more about these products and what their potential is to you as a company.
Sure. So virtual sports, we'll start with that. Virtual sports is, is kind of a niche product, but it actually tags along very nicely with the sports betting market. And everyone knows that the sports betting market, particularly in North America, has really gone, on a very significant upward trajectory. One of the things that we really do have to do in North America is get more customers for the product, because I think we've got a good, as I talked about, our licensed games, but we have a great product, but we need to get more distribution for that product. So we'll be going live with BetMGM here shortly. But frankly, to be in the virtual sports business, you need customers like DraftKings and FanDuel, and we're still working on those. But we see, tons of opportunity for North America with virtual sports. And then the market in Brazil that's opening up is we're already operating in Brazil with two of the biggest operators there. We're seeing tremendous results. The sport that resonates the most down there is football, as they would call it, soccer, as you and I would call it. But that's probably 75% of our virtual sports business. So we can already see in Brazil that the growth of that in a regulated market is going to be huge. So we think virtual sports is, kind of a unique product that we have a very large share, very wide distribution. Product is very well positioned. So we're obviously very bullish on virtual sports. In terms of hybrid dealer, as I mentioned in the beginning, we've got a couple new offerings. The thing when you introduce a product like that, what you want to do is you conceive of it and you develop it.
When you say hybrid dealer, you might want to describe what hybrid dealer is.
Sure. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So hybrid dealer is basically a way what we've done is leveraged our virtual technology. So we have a green screen that basically we recreate the environment of a studio. So if you have a live dealer studio, you've got to have actual physical wheels, you've got to have dealers, et cetera, et cetera. So for us, we conceived of and leveraged our virtual sports experience to create an environment that actually looks exactly like our first game is called, it's MGM Bonus City. So it's a spinning wheel, but now with roulette. It's literally, I defy anyone to look at it and see if it looks any different than a reel. And then the dealers are actually filmed. So we cycle through dealers. So it looks very much like a live dealer experience from the player perspective. But from the operator perspective, you don't have the physical costs of building studios. You don't have the labor costs. So we can actually do a very efficient live dealer simulation for not only big operators, but for many operators of a smaller variety that just couldn't afford the live dealer experience. So that's really what the background is. And now what we're doing is, frankly, rolling it out to more and more customers and more products. And again, for those that are at the show and go see it in our booth, it really is creating a kind of unique buzz. And we really think we've created our own category here.
Right. And it is a unique product and it's patent protected. Right?
Correct.
So you had mentioned Brazil. A lot of folks are excited about Brazil.
Sure.
You're making a fairly significant commitment. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we've been going down to Brazil. I've been down there a few times myself. It's a market where you've got 230 million people that are passionate about some of the products that we offer, obviously virtual sports, but iGaming is included. So the slot content down there You need to tailor specifically to that market. But hybrid dealer is yet another offering for a market because, there's going to be a ton of operators, and they're going to be small operators, and they're going to be big guys. You've seen, speaking of M&A, you've seen, Flutter acquire into the space, MGM trying to acquire into the space. So I think everyone in the gaming industry feels pretty strongly that Brazil is going to be a very big market. We've seen it ourselves already with virtual sports. The trajectory is exactly like you'd like to see, but we feel great about the fact that really some of our core product lines fit very well in Brazil. And then who knows what's going to happen with machines in Brazil? That might also be an opportunity down the road. So it's a market that frankly, has been talked about for 30 years. But to see it finally come into fruition is rewarding.
And then finally, on the emerging product front, you've got iLottery.
Yeah, so iLottery for us, again, spent a lot of time in our careers in the lottery space, know the space very well. We have the ability to be able to leverage our library of iGaming content and modify it slightly for the iLottery space. And frankly, iLottery is also now starting to get some attraction in the virtual sports side. So we expect to be announcing here in the relatively soon some additional product offerings for virtual sports in the lottery space. So, we've got tons of opportunities. I mean, there's no lack of opportunity. I'd say our biggest challenge is, of a company our size, how do we resource it to be able to do all of these things simultaneously? That's probably our single biggest issue.
Anything else folks should know about it?
Well, I think just in terms of, look, we're not of the size of an Aristocrat or Light & Wonder when it comes to the gaming machine business, although ironically, most people don't know we have roughly 50,000 machines on participation around the world. So we've made some nice headway in North America. We announced a big deal with WCLC this year. We announced a deal with Alberta Gaming as well this year. So we're starting to get some traction in North America. All of ours is server-based gaming. So that's, the ability to be able to download content and change games on the fly works very well in a market like Illinois. And I think there's more markets, Oregon and, West Virginia, Montana, et cetera, et cetera. So the gaming machine part of our business is also a big part of the business that not a lot of people in North America may know about, but they're starting to see. And thankfully, the results that we're getting from our customers in North America have been stellar.
Now, I guess one last thing to touch upon before we close out.
Sure.
Is your margins are pretty impressive in iGaming.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so we really look at the business in kind of two categories. We look at it as what we call digital, but online business, and then land-based businesses. So as I mentioned earlier, the digital businesses have all the component parts you want. Significantly higher margins, both in virtual sports and iGaming and hybrid dealer, very high margins, low capital intensity. It's not like you have to be building new machines all the time. Doesn't take labor to the same degree. We're not having field engineers out fixing machines like we do on the other side of the business. So the fact that, over 60% of our EBITDA is coming from the digital side of the business, and that's only going to grow as hybrid dealer continues to grow, as the iGaming space continues to grow, whether it's in Brazil or other markets. We expect our margins to, both the contribution from digital and our margins to both expand.
G2E, you've already mentioned a number of your products.
Right.
Is there anything, one or two must-sees at your booth this year?
Yeah, I mean, definitely I'll try to explain the hybrid dealer side bet game that we have, and it's basically a roulette wheel. So this is, as I talked about with hybrid dealer virtual, so there's a roulette wheel on the outside, but then on the inside is another wheel. So you have two wheels going simultaneously, but the inside wheel has 4 balls in it as opposed to 1. So it's called the 4-ball extra bet game. And what that ends up doing is adds multipliers. So you have a whole completely different new roulette experience. So I would definitely encourage everyone to go take a look at that because I think it's unlike anything that they'll have seen in the industry. So that's a big one. But yeah, our new cabinet, it's a portrait style cabinet, but I think it's definitely worth people going to see. But kind of the sexy stuff is the iGaming content, the hybrid dealer, and all our virtual sports.
Okay, very comprehensive overview.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Frank. Always good to see you. Thanks.